If you saw this video pop up and you thought, oh great, I'm flying them soon, this will be useful. Or you thought, oh great, can't this airline just go away? Well, this video is for both of you. Let's be honest, Vietjet has a reputation that precedes it like durian in an enclosed space. Part of that reputation, well deserved, but that doesn't change the fact that this is now the largest airline in Vietnam by a bunch of metrics. So I'll explain how you can get through a journey with Vietjet without wanting to cry afterwards. Before we get into all that though, let me welcome any of you that might be new to the channel. My name is Kevin. I'm here to give you a self-funded and honest look at some of the best, and some of the not so best, airlines and hotels in the world, which I've been bringing to you full-time for the past 4 years. Check out my hundreds of videos, scan the QR code, or click the link in the description to learn more about how I do things. Let's get to the airport. I don't do many reviews to or from Saigon anymore since I don't want to keep showing you the same Vietnam Airlines flight to Bangkok over and over and over. And frankly, not much has changed, in this terminal at least. Right now, we're at the International Terminal, which is just next to the very small domestic terminal. Or should I say, former domestic terminal. As we go check in, I'll explain a little bit. 2 months ago, the much anticipated Terminal 3 opened here at Tan Son Nhat International Airport. And by the time this video is published, all domestic operations from the airport are meant to be transferred over there, except for perhaps a few turboprops. Now you may be thinking, wait, why did they make a brand new nice looking terminal just for domestic flights? Well, no one really knows. It was originally meant to be an international terminal. My pure speculation is that it was behind schedule or over budget or something like that, and they knew at some point along the way that building a domestic facility would just be easier, faster, and frankly, cheaper. Again, that's purely an educated guess, but considering how strained the international terminal is here in Saigon, I think it's a valid guess. In a previous video about Vietjet, I mentioned how part of the reason why Vietjet has such a crap reputation is because of their delays. But I mentioned how much of that comes from this overworked airport. Well, now is the time for Vietjet to start showing what they are potentially made of. One truly alarming and unprecedented stat about the impact of this airport's overcrowding you can see here. Of the top 50 busiest airports in Asia, Saigon is the only one to have had negative growth last year. And it's not like the other airports are just gaining a point or two. Across the board, the region saw high single or double-digit growth last year. Simple to say, this country cannot afford for Vietjet to continue to have its horrible reputation. Across the country, in Hanoi, Haiphong, Da Nang, Nha Trang, Phu Quoc, and Saigon, all 6 of them, Vietjet is the largest airline by number of daily flights now. It's kind of crazy. This is a similar aircraft to ours for tonight's flight, one of 7 A330s that Vietjet has in its fleet. All 7 of these used to fly for AirAsia X. From Saigon, they're now used to India, Australia, Hanoi, and occasionally Korea. If you're enjoying the video and would like to support the channel, there are many ways that you can do so. A quick like on the video and subscribe helps the videos with the algorithm. You could join my YouTube channel memberships to get early access to some videos and access to all of my community posts. Or you could check out my Patreon, where I post the most, and can help you out if you have any travel-related questions. Whatever you do, thanks for doing it. My business class ticket today included access to the Rose Lounge, which, if nothing else, is always nice for its open and airy floor plan. If you looked at Vietjet's route map now, you would never guess that just 3 years ago, they didn't fly to India or Australia at all. They just began service to India in 2022, and now have 10 routes from Saigon, Hanoi, and Da Nang to 6 different cities in India. I do have to say though, if you saw the score for this flight, a 79, which is not great in my book, that is simply because of Vietjet's pricing. I did have a nice flight, and I do think they're a great option to Australia. I'll explain about that in a bit. For now, let's get on board. Our A330-300 is 8 years old, and while it's still sporting the Air Asia X interiors, you would never know it since Vietjet uses the exact same colors inside. Economy is in a very tight 333 configuration. Normally A330s are 242, and business class is 2 rows of angle flat seats in a 222 configuration. If I remember correctly, these are the same model seats that I've had on Egypt Air flights before. For a business class seat, they're slightly more narrow than normal, but as a seat, they're pretty comfortable. Anytime I publish a non-fully flat all-aisle access business class video, I always get "that's just premium economy" comments. To which I'd like to reply to all of you at the same time. If you think this is premium economy, you've probably never sat in premium economy. By any metrics, seats like these are significantly more comfortable than any premium economy seat out there. The seats were in good condition, and I had a color-coded choice of pre-departure drinks. A bit garish, but on brand. I went with the questionably colored sugarcane juice, which I love to pieces, and thought it was actually a nice, actual Vietnamese touch to start off the flight. I chose the bulkhead since it's easier to get in and out of than the second row, but there turned out to be just 2 of us in the business class cabin tonight, so it didn't really matter. The manual safety demonstration began and we got going. I should say from the get-go that the service on board was fantastic. Obviously very attentive since one flight attendant was serving just 2 of us, but he couldn't do enough for us and had an Emirates level of poise, which I frankly was not expecting. I can safely say that he, at least, is destined for a higher flying airline. Drinks were brought out as soon as we were in the air. I asked for no glass. The pillow was plump enough, but far too small if this would have been a truly long-haul flight. The blanket was cozy though, in a soft fleece. For the meal, I knew what to expect, but also didn't. The menu was the same as the one used for economy, so I was wondering if they forgot to cater the flight for business class or something like that. But no, it's simply the type of dish that you're choosing. What you'll actually be served is an elevated version of the same economy meal. The meals are served on cheap, natural, disposable serveware, which I'm sorry, I hate. I hate the wooden utensils that have a rough texture. I am all for eco-friendly, but perhaps if Vietjet wants to do that, they could just stop wrapping their planes in the logo of the state oil company as a better first step. Just a thought. The appetizers are a type of spring roll which is wrapped in mustard leaves and usually has beef inside. But these were vegetarian and were a bit underwhelming to say the least. Essentially just noodles wrapped in leaves. 2 out of 10 for those. The main dish though was much better. A really flavorful and punchy, which is surprising for Vietnamese catering, chicken curry, served on a bed of rice. The chicken was tender as well. 9 out of 10 for that. Bathrooms on board were kept very clean, a good thing considering there were just 2 of us using it. The bed, if we're going to call it that, is fine if you can tolerate an angle flat experience. Anytime I think of someone sleeping in a seat like this, I can't help but think about the scene from Silence of the Lambs where Hannibal Lecter is being wheeled out on the dolly in a straitjacket. Don't ask, but if you can sleep like that, you'll be fine here. Entertainment on board is limited to daydreaming while looking out the window and wondering what it would have been like if you chose Vietnam Airlines instead. And that brings me to my opinion and the score of this flight. For the right price, this is a perfectly good experience, and I would definitely do it again. But the problem is, their pricing to India in business class is never competitive. To Delhi, Air India is generally the cheapest, and Vietjet is generally more expensive with Vietnam Airlines hanging out in between. Here's the thing though, that Air India flight is on an A320, so I would prefer the Vietjet seat to that seat. But the Vietnam Airlines flight is usually on an A350 with long-haul lie-flat seats. That said, to Australia, they are always the cheapest nonstop option. So, TLDR, to Australia, they're a great option in business class, but for the price, there are better options to India. At the time that I booked my flight, the consistent one-way fare for this route was $825, which is insane. At the same time, the Air India fare was $369, and VNA was $454. Somehow, I found one day that Expedia had Vietjet for $400 and I booked it quickly. I'm not sure if this was an error fare or not. When I got my itinerary emailed from Vietjet, the purchase price of double the equivalent of $825 was actually on the ticket, so this I think was a fluke. So if ever there was a mixed bag of a review, this one is it. They have a horrible reputation, but they're necessary. It's a decent business class product, but some routes are crazy expensive. This is very much a decide for yourself. To me, more space is always the name of the game. So if my choice is Vietjet to Sydney for $700 versus $1,100 in premium economy on Vietnam Airlines, that's not a competition. I'm going for Vietjet. Given that the only thing actually wrong with my flight was the typical published fare, I think I can let them slide and stay at a 6. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this trip report today. If you did, please be sure to click the like button and subscribe for new flight and hotel videos each week. I'll see you next time on Eat to Airways. Thanks as always for watching until the end.